you, Pak Ilham. So we see good movement, yeah, coming up from the grassroots, also from the community base, that we can do a lot of, as Pak Ilham mentioned, that about prototyping. But again, there's a challenge, yeah, to how move this prototyping into the product tested in the market. And actually, we have here Pak Hari from Indonesia, and also a lot of prototypes made by the development board by Intel, like Intel Galileo. So maybe we can ask Pak Hari, how is Intel now doing to help this innovation in Asia?
That's
right. Yeah, thank you for that. So I completely agree with all the statements given by the panelists. It seems like we all have really almost have a very complete story for us when we need to build more awareness to that. I mean, imagine we have this e-commerce roadmap and we're talking about 1,000 startups and going to industrialize it to make it e-commerce. And from where we stand from Intel, this is our company is a company that builds everything from innovation. So we want to see something before that 1,000 startups. How can we create a culture of innovate? How can we create culture of people making things? So earlier mentioned about STEAM to begin with. From our company, we have some tools that we built right now. There's boards that's cheap enough and simple enough for small students even to start to use. As an example, recently we went to a fisherman's community, right?
Yeah, in fact, Jukutek is right here.
Where's from Juku? Is Jukutek here? Is that where? Is this outside? So the story is he's coming from the fisherman's community, South Sulawesi. We give this board, and they see the problems that every time the fisherman needs to go out, they have to basically go with the boat and search for fish and get it. So this group is developing a box. There she is. This is the back. So you can meet her later on. So she built a solution through this box, through the board, where she built a sensor where if there's spots of fishes are around, it will send SMS. You might be wondering, how can you send SMS from the middle of the sea? Apparently, what they found is when you are actually by the sea, further down by the sea, the signals of the telecom signals is actually pretty good, so they can send. So instead of the fishermen going around looking, and they will send a notify, so the fishermen just go. I mean, this is one example how that innovation can go. This can go from formal education, going to informal education, going to multiplayer. So I guess, for me, it's very interesting. How can we all create an awareness all together here? I think if you see infrastructures, it's amazing. Amazing if you go to Cikampek, going to Cibubur, a lot of rails outside, right? I mean, in 2 years from now, this is going to be super modern city, and there's MRT downstream. We're coming into that era, and I think we need to have that to create that awareness coming in, and we start to build. There are opportunities ahead. The one who's going to take that opportunity 10, 20 years from now is not that generation, our generation. It's going to be generation probably born going to be this 2016 onwards. So I think creating that awareness, creating that culture is there. From us, from the industry, Padani, I think we're supporting there. Intel, every year, we're sending young innovators going to what's so-called Intel Science and Engineering Fair to the US. And every year, there's always a winner coming from Indonesia. They always get something, an award. So it's a proof that we have lots of innovators here. So how to create more and more from formal, non-informal, I think it's our job to be participating. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Hari. It's a very interesting perspective coming from the industry side. So maybe I can ask who has experience in making something? Has anyone? Like making, like innovating something? I guess you have, you do, yes. Maybe you can share what you're doing and then just a little bit, yes.
Hi everyone, my name is Derry. So I studied computer science abroad in the US actually, and I came back to co-found Traveloka.com with my co-founders. So that's what I made.
Oh, great. So we have someone, the co-founder of Traveloka here. So it's also, you're being one of the e-commerce in terms of like travel sites, right, in Indonesia, and also the regulation and also the government really supportive of that. Good. So let's see from the perspective from International Development Agency. So maybe I can ask to Mr. Cody. Mr. Cody, so how do you see so far in terms of the innovation ecosystem in Indonesia, and what is the thing that maybe USAID can help to foster in? Thank you.
Well, I was very intrigued by the comments of the panelists. I heard things such as innovation and innovators are not just professors, and that innovation is very much a function of encouraging an attitude of innovation from Pa Ilham. And you know, I think it's really interesting now to see so many opportunities to try and encourage innovative activity that's coming directly from beneficiaries, trying to move out beyond perhaps academia alone or industry alone, because currently Indonesia has very low sort of investment rates in research and development by companies, low by the standards of comparable countries, but to find opportunities to really help local beneficiaries identify problems that they have, development challenges that they have in their lives, and then help introduce ways that they can deploy technology in an innovative way to address those problems. And we're very excited at USAID at trying to work in that regard as it focuses on the effects of climate change and what local beneficiaries might think about how they could develop appropriate technology approaches that address a problem that's really very specific to their everyday lives, but looking as well at approaches to workforce development and education, where, as Pa Ilham said, the attitude or sort of the spirit or the encouragement for everybody to look at ways that technology and even approaches and the way that that different stakeholders interact with one another can be termed an innovative way of doing things and coming up with ideas together. And at USAID, we're also looking at that in terms of much more open and co-creative ways of approaching common challenges and using more human-centered design approaches so that we make sure that the opportunity for innovation is really, bubbling up from the perspective of people on the ground who have problems that they need to be solved and will benefit from an innovative approach and the introduction of technology that's going to help them solve those problems.
Right, thank you, Mr. Cody. So I noted that you mentioned about the human-centered design mindset. So also about the mindset that need to be embraced in Indonesia. So that means that how is about our educational system here also to embrace the design thinking or the human-centered design. So maybe I can ask to Bu Ruli. Yes, Bu Ruli also from GIZ. Yes, do you see the same or do you have any other perspective or any other opinion about this?
Thank you, Pam. We work in education sector, especially on vocational education and training. And before going further into the questions, but I also would like to also share to all of you on a few of our activity together with Intel that is really connected to the nurturing innovation among the SMK of vocational school students. There are several already, a few. The Girls Innovation Camp just a few weeks ago. And next is this ceremony award for SMK Innovative Challenge that the award will be given to the winner, 5 winner, with outreach almost 1,000 SMK, 1,000 schools, where they they make prototype of different kind of instrument using one of Intel product, for example, Galileo board. This is very interesting, also important steps if we talk about nurturing innovation. Why? Probably we do not talk first about a patent, for example. We do not talk first about all this Pak Ilham mentioning prototyping and industrializing is really on the first step. It's really on the prototyping, growing ideas, encouraging them to grow ideas. That is related to the questions how to encourage this attitude, this way of doing, this way of thinking, to create using, looking at what is the problem among around me. For example, that is exactly what these students do. For example, the SMK, the school that measuring on with competent package in fishery, also prototyping instrument equipment related to, for example, looking at the composition of water in a fish pond, for example. Really down to earth problem, solution of problem near to them. And this is where I would like to go back to what Pak Ananto mentioned. Innovation doesn't have to be started in higher education. These two activities at least can show also, is proof also, result that if we provide them good encouragement or right encouragement, we starting a good nurturing innovation among them, then we can also see result on that. What interesting is a few of these innovation prototypes in related to one SMK in Tegal near Central Java, even already demonstrated in front of the local government. And the local government take this prototype and put into their system also. And this is something encouraging. Even before you talk about patent, you talk about the holistic approach of nurturing innovation among young people, like in SMK. They use really cheap technology, also something that really close to them. So it's not something far, it's down to earth, near them, but with right nurturing environment, good innovation ecosystem, we can do that.
Thank you very much, Bu Ruli, for sharing about the experiences and also the facts that we been looking in Indonesia. Actually, we have so many innovators now in Indonesia, so how we nurture them. So maybe Bu Petra, can you maybe add more, or before I go to Pak Indra from the Telkom side. So maybe you can add more how you have been advising in terms of like education to the World Bank and also to the Indonesian youngsters about innovation.
Thank you. Currently and in the past few years, we've been working to enhance teachers' skills. And I think teachers are also the focal point to actually enable students to think innovatively. And for SMKs or SMR probably, many teachers are actually already have that willingness, but maybe lower in that SMP, for example, learning from our TIMS video study from 2007 to 2014, math teachers basically only, they only 10% address the right questions to the students to drive analytical skills, to drive a higher order thinking. So learning from there are a lot more that we need to address in terms of teacher skills enhancement. I think teachers is one part that we need to focus on, and we're still working on it. And so that they can create space for children to think innovatively. And also I'm echoing what Pak Kori said, also from the idea from Pak Ilham that innovation is an attitude. I think it goes along well with this new drive for character education. I think this could be actually injected into that approach. somehow, I believe that the ministry is actually working on it right now. And also in terms of, creating the ecosystem, taking formal and informal education, probably also involving and engaging pusat kegiatan belajar learning centers for informal and non-formal education. I think they are, I think we can engage children with innovative ideas. I think that I hope that would be my 5 cents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bu Petra.